If you're a homeschool student, AP exams are a great way for you to show colleges that you're ready for college work. High AP exams can even help you satisfy freshman requirements, earn college credits, and graduate early. Now, my alma mater, NYU, will even accept 3 AP exams instead of an SAT or ACT score. They call it a test flexible policy. And in fact, when I went to NYU 20 years ago, their AP credit policy was so generous that I graduated a full year early. Now, in those 20 years since then, I've helped thousands of students as a tutor, teacher, author, and even as a homeschool instructor. I've seen firsthand how all the recent changes to the AP program have put homeschoolers like you at a disadvantage. Now, these changes include things like earlier registration deadlines, new software for classrooms, and total makeovers of the format of the exam. In this video, I'm going to share what homeschoolers can do to succeed on AP exams. Let me dispel a common misconception. You do not need to take an AP class in order to take an AP exam. All you have to do is register at a testing site before the final deadline, which is in March, and pay the exam fees. There are no other requirements for taking an AP exam. Now, when I realized this back in high school, I started taking AP exams without taking AP classes. Let me walk you through every step that homeschoolers like you should take to do well on AP exams. The first step in the process is to figure out which, if any, exams you're going to take in the first place. This is not as easy as it seems. There are 38 AP exams out there, and they cover almost every subject under the sun. Some AP exams are really better for homeschoolers than others. For example, the AP English Language and Composition exam and the AP English Literature and Composition exam have no required texts. If you're really good as a reader and a writer, you can do well in this exam even if you're not in an AP class. Other AP exams cover the content that most homeschoolers learn, things like AP US History, AP Biology, or AP Spanish. But you have to be careful. There are some exams that have such specific content, such narrow exam specifications, that it's kind of difficult for homeschoolers to just walk into the exam with little or no preparation. One good example of this is AP US Government and Politics. The AP Gov exam requires you to know the 15 required Supreme Court cases, as well as 8 foundational documents that are part of the exam. So you have to spend time preparing these specific requirements in order to succeed on the exam. If you don't know the Supreme Court case, you're not going to do well on that question. AP Art History tests students on a list of 250 required works of art. So you definitely can't walk into the exam without studying those required works. What's great about AP Art History is that Khan Academy has released a free course in partnership with the College Board on this subject so that you can prepare on your own before test day. So before you make a final decision about which exam to take, there's one more crucial step. And step 2 is that you need to learn about the exam format. In recent years, AP exams have undergone a total transformation and redesign of test format. That means you can't necessarily trust every single article you read online or every test prep book. There's information from 12 months ago and 24 months ago that's already hopelessly out of date. Now, the history exams, including AP US History, European History, and World History, are a good example of how test format matters. The exams have become less focused on lots of dates and facts and names and places, and more focused on primary sources. The AP History exams are basically open book tests now. Now, what's great is for homeschoolers like you, that's really opened the door for you to do less preparation and succeed more on test day. Check out the description below for a link to marcolearning.com. We have great articles on how the exams are formatted and how you can succeed on test day. Another great resource online is the official website of the College Board. It's called AP Central, and it's got tons of information about every single exam, the formats, and it crucially has updates about how each of these exams have changed. So let's say you've decided to take one or more AP exams. What do you do next? And this is where step 3 comes in. You need to register for the exams. First, you need to check the calendar. AP exams are typically in the first 2 weeks of May, and you need to make sure that you know exactly when your AP exams are and that none of the exams you plan to take will overlap with another one. Then you need to contact the AP coordinator at an AP testing site near you. Usually your local public high school is the best place to start. And for more information, definitely check out the College Board's website directly and be sure to contact them directly if you have questions. The registration fee for an AP exam is very expensive. It's almost $100. Now, unfortunately, the College Board has moved the registration deadline to the early part of November. So if you haven't registered for, let's say, the 2020 exams yet, you'll need to pay an additional $40 fee. The final deadline is in March. So let's say you've decided you're going to take exams and you've registered for them, you're all set to go. How do you prepare for test day? And that's what these next steps are all about. Step 4 is you have to organize all your resources. Now, this is a critical step that most students skip. You really need to take an inventory of all the resources you have, like physically make a list. So if you have a copy of a textbook, you have a test prep book you bought from Barnes & Noble, a box of flashcards, kind of make a pile of all of these things. Add in some study notes from your homeschooling classes, or if you have a source reader, any handouts, graphic organizers, posters, little color-coded study notes, whatever you have, kind of put it all in a pile on your desk and add it to the list. Then think about online resources. Maybe there's this really great YouTube channel that you love or some old history documentaries. Add that to your list too. And then kind of take a look at this list that you have and be honest with yourself. What actually helps you study well? What's useful to you? Maybe learning from videos is not that great, like it's entertaining, but you don't like that format, then cross that off your list. Maybe flashcards are not your thing, right? So get rid of that too. And the idea is that basically you're gonna focus on the best 3 or so resources that you have. And once you've put that together, you can start to move on to the next step, which is to develop a study plan. Customize this plan around how much time you have for test day and how many hours you can study. So let me tell you about the plan I used back in high school. I was studying for AP US History, and I spent about 30 days before the exam studying. And each day before the exam, I would read 1 chapter from my textbook, and then I would go to the Princeton Review's test prep book, and I would go question by question through each of the multiple choice sections. So I would do the question and then look at the back immediately at the explanations. So this was something that was really important for me because I customized it around what I liked. I used the American Pageant textbook, which was really easy. I used the Princeton Review book that I had, and I focused on 2 or 3 things. That's what's key to a great study plan, was that you do it around your actual skills and you make sure that you take time to follow through with this. But that was just one way to study for one exam. You have to make sure that you're customizing it around your particular style and needs. And maybe even now, 20 years later, I wouldn't study the same way myself. So you really want to customize it. Make sure that it's a plan that you can follow through with. Because if you do it wrong, if it's really a plan for somebody else or what somebody else recommended, you're not going to follow through with it. The next step for succeeding on AP exams is to start early. I have worked with thousands of students, and if there's one thing I know about all of you, it's that you all procrastinate until the very last second. And AP exams are really different. They don't work with procrastination because they're supposed to reflect this entire semester or year of college level work. You can't just start a few days before the exam. Now, this is really important for homeschool students because you probably don't have access to the AP Classroom platform and other resources that teachers are using in AP classrooms around the country. Step 7 is to take full-length practice tests. One of the most common mistakes I see in test preparation is the failure to practice well. You can know all the presidents and all the facts and all the words, but if you don't perform well on test day, all this work is going to be in vain. You have to be prepared to bring together all your knowledge and skills on test day, and the best way to do this is to take full-length practice tests in the weeks leading up to the test. But it's not enough to just print out a practice test and take it. You have to practice well. So whenever possible, you want to read the explanations that come with the question so you can identify your mistakes, learn the content, learn the strategies you need. This is why at Marco Learning, all of our practice tests have comprehensive explanations to guide you through each multiple choice question. Step 8 is to get your essays graded. Now, for the majority of AP exams, the most important section is the free response section, which can have short answer questions or longer essays, document-based questions, all kinds of challenging essays. While it's useful to look over sample essays and scoring guidelines, nothing can replace scoring and written feedback from an expert grader. So if you have a teacher in your life who knows the format of the AP exams, go to them and get help. One of the things I'm excited about what we've done at Marco Learning is we've partnered with the experts at the Grade Network to offer the first ever grading program for AP students. You send us your essays and we send you detailed feedback in just a few days. For more about this resource, check out the link in the description box below. Step 9 is don't go it alone. Studying for one or more AP exams by yourself for weeks can be very lonely and very daunting. And a lot of the homeschooling students and parents I work with feel really overwhelmed by all the little details and nuances of AP exams. Never mind how hard the content actually is. And this is why a homeschooling consortium or live online study sessions can be really valuable for homeschoolers. Now, when I was in graduate school at Notre Dame, I taught at a homeschooling consortium, and I saw firsthand the benefits of studying with other homeschoolers in this format. It's really wonderful. Going through each of these steps will help homeschoolers navigate this process without taking an AP course. Remember, it is possible to do very well on an AP exam without ever being in a class with other AP students. If you want more study tips and testing advice, like this video and subscribe to Marco Learning's YouTube channel. We are always here to help you.